So YouTube people will know that that's going live. And great. So what I'm going to encourage you guys to do, if you would be so wonderful as do it, is to just share that this is happening and um, share that this is happening. If everything works out well. Does it work? Work. Okay, I'm trying to put a link in there for a link to Brene Brown's. I'm going to try and do that over there. Oh, yep, you're over YouTube as well. Good. I am going to. I think that's Brene Brown's. I just have to try. I'm trying to get to you guys the it's not letting me do it. Hi Eileen, it's good for you to be here. I'm happy for that. I'm trying to just not be annoyed. Is what I'm trying to do. This is not working out. I was like, oh, I'll just stick it in as a PDF. How could you? Should be able to do that, no problem. There shouldn't be an issue with any of it, right? Because it's going to be so easy. Not so much. Okay, we're going to try it this way. I know it's a pain in the butt, so here I am. Okay, so it turns out I can't pin anything to anything, and it's not going to work the way I was just envisioning it would work. It's totally annoying. What I was trying to do was add, the Brene Brown values checklist to our conversation, because this whole week we've been talking about resistance and what it sort of looks like, how you're feeling out there. And I got to tell you, I'm going to make sure I do one more thing, and I just appreciate you guys all being I appreciate you being patient. I appreciate that patience. And thank you so much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to link on my Facebook page somehow. I haven't figured it out yet, but I'll do it. I will link on my Facebook page how Brene Brown's set of values that came from Daring to Lead, I think is the name of the book. And what I want to encourage you to do, and what her exercise is for that, is that you pick two values that are you. Now, let me kind of back up here and talk about why it's important. So she has a whole bunch of reasonings why it's important. I want to give you like my life reasonings on why you figuring out your values and what you want out of life is super important in how you need to move forward and how to help you move forward. So here it goes. Ready? I lived in a co-housing place, which is a cooperative space where I did that for about 5 years here, and moving back from Michigan, moving back to Michigan, back from Boulder, is I lived there, and it was how to cooperate with other people and how to solve your problems. And we worked on consensus where everybody had to agree and had to be open to agreement, work through agreements, understand each other, where each other's coming from, work through if anybody was unhappy with something, like you can block an idea, a proposal going through, but that is absolute. No one should ever block. Like if you're blocking, there's something wrong within the community. This is a very hard place to live if you don't have that idea that you're working together towards something. If you're working and there's a lot of frustrations in living in this situation. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's perfect by any stretch of anybody's imagination, but what I am saying is that it did teach me a lot about so many different things and so many different skills that I didn't really know that I didn't know I needed or how to utilize them. So one of them is we would have to figure out what our group values are as a community, what we wanted, and it would anchor us in into how we would steer forward. So that's what I want to kind of bring to you, is that I want you to take a look at all of these that I'm going to somehow get to you. Um, and then I'm going to somehow get to you, and I'm going to have you um, really think about what your two values are. Now, that's a Brene Brown thing. She says two values. I kind of want you to look at it like, what are your, I mean, for, it shouldn't be too different. Like your values for work, your values for what you want out of life. And I want you to compare them to each other. Do they match up? Do they not match up? Do you see some similarities that you can actually anchor in? And what do I mean by anchoring? It actually gives you a space to start working at your foundation. You're going to bring yourself to this space where you're able to say, okay, my values are, and let me just take a quick look at, I say quick, quick look. I have like two computers and a couple of wireless mice and wireless laptops, and one's not attached to anything. Anyway, so I'm just going to list some of them: accountability, achievement, leadership, service, simplicity, fun, friendship, openness, nature, optimism, time, well-being, wholeheartedness. These are some values: humor, humility, cooperation, community, collaboration, caring. So these are some of the values that she lists. And it's not, and again, I'm probably just going to take a snapshot picture of it and then throw it up on both YouTube and on Facebook, so that you have a working piece of paper that you can actually look at and say, what are my two top values for this? I'm going to say 4. I'm going to say 4 top. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to say your 4 top, because in examining what your values are, that's when you're actually going to be able to move forward and then create sort of an anchoring, like, okay, since these are my guiding principles on it, then if my guiding principles on it, my guiding values, then I'm able to make decisions and kind of test my decisions against my value, against what I'm wanting to see out of life. So let's just work on the fly here, because this is what we do, right? So let's say inclusion is something that you're wanting. You wanted to be included. You wanted to be inclusive to other people. And okay, so then we'll go back to, let's just pretend COVID-19 isn't happening right now. You want to be inclusive and be included. This is the way I interpreted that. So one of your big values is, I want to be included in stuff. I want to be included and I want to be inclusive. So one of the things that I would suggest you doing would, to test it, be, okay, so now I'm going to have this idea that what ends up happening is I'm going to test what I'm going to do. So let's just say it's a Friday night, and you want to go like, well, oh, I could just stay home, because because of COVID-19, we all got so used to staying home and not being out in the world, that we just sort of I don't really want to do anything. But one of your core values is being included in stuff and being inclusive. You can't be inclusive alone. You need to go out, so you can test your idea of, am I going to go out in the world, or am I going to stay at home? Am I going to go out in the world, or am I going to stay at home? Does it fit with my values? If I'm testing my idea right now and I'm testing it against the value that I identified that is important for myself, that I've anchored, so that I can begin to shift changes in this resistance. This is what we're talking about again. We're talking about resistance. And one of the reasons it's so important to have this conversation, and I'm sure you're so tired of hearing about it, right, is because the more that you deal with your own stuff, the more that you deal with your own stuff, the more you're going to be able to discern what is guidance from spirit and what isn't guidance from spirit. What are some of the old tapes that you're running in your head that don't necessarily serve you? Does that make sense? Make sense? I know it's not, I know it's not, it doesn't seem very exciting, but this is where the exciting work happens. Like you put the work in here, and then you're able to like take out those, your idea. And look at that snow. I know, I just got to tell you, it's been snowing all day. What just happened? So, all this snow, perfect snow. Um, so yeah, okay, great. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you so much for saying yes to that. I appreciate it because I know that we're going, because this is more of like a spirit coaching session right now than it is like a mediumship session. This is part of what I do in my practice of like not just mediumship but also spirit coaching that I do. Is we talk about what actually makes you tick. What do you really want to have out of life? And if you have to work on your values and decide which way you're going to move within the world, you can only do it if you're able to nail down like this is what I really want and this is how things move forward. Now, is it going to be perfect? No, please don't think it is, because why? We are imperfect humans. We're never going to be as perfect as we want to be, but what we are going to be is having fun doing it, right? And being creative doing it, and trying to send out oodles and tons of love to whoever is participating in our experience or other people's experience. Does that make sense? Okay. And what allows you? So I had made a couple of notes that I think is important. And I do want to say, I'm going to say it right here. I am super excited for where we're going because one of the because on the 28th of April, I am going to be interviewing Susan Redwine, who is a NDE experiencer, near-death experiencer. I know that that's kind of the accepted phrase is near-death experiencer. I like to call them death experiencers because they died. And we're going to talk to her about her journey to the other side, what she felt, what she heard, what she sensed, what she knew, how she came back, how it worked for her, how it guides her in her life. See if her values changed from before to after. So about every 2 weeks once I'm not doing COVID-19 on the daily, and we're not doing mediumship on the daily, I'm going to go back down to once a week, which how are you guys going to manage? Like not hearing my voice every day. I just want to know, are you going to miss me? Maybe miss me a little bit, miss me every day. Be like, oh, I wish I had a little bit of Janny today. That would be so nice just to have a little bit of Janny. But you can't, because then I'll be working all the time. But right now I'm not working all the time, so I have a little bit of time. So I'm hoping that you get from this is that all of this time that we're working in is trying to find a way that you can move forward and oh, you're sweet. You guys are sweet. You want Janny all the time, huh? Is we're trying to find how we move forward into examining who we are and how we live with this resistance, the resistance to change, the resistance to also what is probably what's probably scarier than anything is how magnificent and wonderful you are. We've been taught we're not that magnificent and wonderful, that we're taught that it doesn't really matter, that we're not that important, or we're not that amazing. And what I'm here to tell you is that's just not true. That is not true at all. Some of these experiences I've had in my life show like each of us are so incredibly beautiful and special with our unique gifts and abilities. To be able to just tap into that is really scary for us on this egoic level. Oh, I like that. I like that, Eileen. Instead of got milk, got Janny. Do you got Janny? I really want you to be, we're really taught to live small. And we believe these thoughts other people have told us. Like, these aren't our thoughts or our tapes. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, but I want to say it a little bit more now. Is what you have, like, these tapes you run in your mind over and over again are not ideas and thoughts you have been, that are really even true about you. That's something that somebody else has said, so that you're running around over and over again, creating havoc. Then you like, okay, then you start participating in these sorts of things, which I just shut the page. I don't know why I did that. Where you gossip or create drama because that's what we're taught to do. You don't let go of things and you control them. That's our state of operating right now. We're controlling them like we think we have control. If anything, COVID-19 is telling anybody is we don't have control of anything. Zilch nothing. That you're supposed to compare yourself to other people or other models or other like people that are on actresses or anything like that, that somehow that's the norm when it is not. That we're taught to be afraid of things and not to jump into, be more of afraid and not to trust ourselves and our own instincts. I work with so many people and in so many readings. That's so much that's coming through is you trusting what you're seeing, that you know what's happening, that you can trust this guidance system you have and how to turn that on so you can keep moving forward. And we're told to like not to speak kindly to ourselves. Now, look, if I would have learned how to believed more in myself. Wow. I mean, I think about that. I think about that and I think about it for my children. I think about it for other people's children. And every time I see other kids, it's about lighting them up, about having people be excited about who they are and excited about this life. Trying to please others before you please yourselves. And sometimes that could be a subtle act of, sorry, act of, and I'm going to say this word because it's like act of manipulation. Like if we think that if other people are happy, they're going to like us and stay with us and be helpful, be kind, and that's not really how this stuff works. You have to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. You need to be thoughtful about yourself. Be aware of what you want so you can actually. And I'm not, I say, boundaries is probably a healthy place to start, but some point boundaries sort of fall off. And what ends up happening is you're able to move within the world and go to where your energy goes to where you're flowing, goes to what your mission is, going to why you're here on this earth. Okay. Let's see here. So this is my guy. This is what I want you to do is I want you right now to ignore any opinions that do not enhance your life. Ignore them completely, totally, and entirely. Ignore them if they do not enhance your life. Now, I've shared this story a couple of times. I'll share it a million times more. And if you've already heard it, ignore it. And, don't necessarily ignore it. But I have had some amazing magical things happen. And I remember it's happened, and it was I was in bed. I remember I was in bed and coming off of being really, really sick, and I was. It was about 10. How long ago it was? 8 years ago. I had strep throat. The kids and I just was toughing it out. I was just like in bed, and I don't normally get sick like that, so it was a big deal. And I had 3 littles at the time, so huge deal that mom is out, right? So I dragged myself to. What ends up happening is I drug myself. I don't even know how I did it, to the doctor. I drove myself there and begged for a swab test of my throat. And they're like, you just got the flu. And then they swabbed my throat and said, oh my gosh, I don't even need to run this. You totally have strep. Hang on a second. Let's get you some antibiotics. So during recovery, I was sort of, like a little crazy, maybe going in and out of lucidity. Not over lucidity. And as I opened my eyes and I looked over, I saw It's just amazing what I saw an angel, like, dressed in this beautiful gold. It wasn't a very tall angel either. It was kind of, a little bit just a little bit taller than me, which I like to say I'm short. All of my cousins are like 5'10". I did not get the 5'10" gene. Um, they I just saw this most beautiful angel looking at me with the amazing, like, alabaster skin face, just so gorgeous, so beautiful, just staring at me, looking with amazing depth of love at me. And as I got up and I kind of got up and started looking around, everything was just the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. It was like all like I was finally seeing the real life, what reality really is. Now, here's where like my degree in science comes in pretty it's excitingly, because this is your nerves and your body will stop, they will stop feeling something. So if you have like um uh, pain that keeps coming and keeps going, or some kind of pressure that your body is always sensing and always seeing, what your body will end up doing is just turning it off, not paying attention to it, not caring about it, not really wanting. It will just be like, forget about it, I don't want to hear about it. So your body stops feeling it. That's what happens in this life. You look around and everything looks dull and maybe not as beautiful as you'd like, or not as like, not as exciting. It's just this wall or a picture or color or blah. What actually is really happening is things are glowing and alive from the inside. Everything has that spirit just all the way through it, from the top to the bottom and around again, just everywhere it is. It has it there. It's there, but we don't see it because our nervous system would be overloaded if it saw it all the time. Plus, we would never get anything done. Because I tell you what, I've been in that state a couple of times, and this is what I say to everybody: I would have married a blade of grass and been the happiest woman in the world, because it was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen in my whole entire life. Or a rock. Like, literally, I would have married a rock. It would have been gorgeous. My kids are hearing me right now and they're laughing. But it's true, because that's what life really looks like. Just gorgeous beyond compare. And the most mundane things that you take for granted looks. Imagine marrying water. That's what they just said. I don't think I probably would have married water too. It would have been like a happy, happy, happy marriage. I've been just like, whatever, it's great. Um, that's what life really is. A beautiful, beautiful thing. And we would just sit around and just stare at each other, because we'd be just so like, we would never hurt anybody or anything, because we just couldn't bring it to hurt anything. I couldn't have hurt that piece of rock. I couldn't have hurt anything. That's where we're going. That's where we're going to be moving to. That's who you truly are. I mean, that's exciting, isn't it? So if you're going to be moving on those paths, maybe just get a jump start now. Identify some of your values, and I'll put the picture up of the Brene Brown Dare to Lead value thing. Pick out 4, but I challenge you to do her 2, which means you really have to identify what is important to you. And then you have a way of moving forward and testing what you're doing in the world and against your values. Now, that's awesome. I've seen people like, I need 100% of that all the time. I know if we had 100% of that all the time, nothing would ever get done. Promise you. Yep. So that's. Oh, hi everybody. It's 100% pure love. That song didn't come from anywhere. It came from everywhere. So, I have a barking dog. Hey, can you just wait a second, Rue? So, with that, I am going to sign off today. I am going to send out those emails tonight for tomorrow at 2. If you had direct message me your email, then you'll be on that. if you have any questions about anything, I might be on tomorrow night. I haven't been on the last 2 weekends. It's kind of my downtime to hang out with my kids. So I will, I might be on, I might not be on, but probably not. So I just want to say, see light, be light. I look forward to hanging out with you and seeing you when I can see you. And again, any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. Make sure to share this with people. And that's it. Ciao. Bye. I did. I think bye.